If Chinese people are truly happy in China related to the internet, voting, freedom, democracy, and government, here's a question. Why do so many Chinese people come into South America and make their way up to the Mexican United States border and try to get across if they're not happy with a very high percentage? Why do you see so many Chinese still trying to immigrate the legal way to the Western world? Is it manipulation of Western media, or is it manipulation of Chinese media saying that China is the best place in the world to live? For a lot of people, you don't sometimes really have the choice of where you want to live, but you can, like myself, go and live in a foreign country, but it's not easy to do so. The simple thing is, why would that foreign country, like France or Dubai or India or China or Japan, want a foreigner to come and live and work there? They've got to pay for the flight, they got to pay for the visa, they got to be responsible for the citizen, etc., etc. It's going to be cheaper just to get a local who can do the job the same and if not better. So in China, some of the things that you would see that the people are frustrated about. The first one is this. The internet. The internet is controlled in China. And if you wanted to go to basically BBC, possibly, it would be blocked and it would say no with it. So the state controls the internet. Many people do have an illegal VPN, and many of the people who do put YouTube videos out, obviously on YouTube from China, are actually breaking the law. But the government will be fine with it as long as you're doing propaganda. There's lots of people who do videos about China, myself included. I'm fine with the people basically who say, this is beautiful, go and visit. And China is, and I have in the past been to many places there. But if it's anything negative about Xi Jinping being ill, for example, or something bad that happened in the government, it will be blocked. And like the Panama Papers in 2016, if you went into the Google, the Chinese Google called Baidu, if you put in Panama Papers Xi Jinping, it would be empty. You can go and try it yourself right now and it would just have no results. That's the power of the firewall of the internet. I think people do want the freedom so they can see both sides of the story, not the Chinese side. They can agree, they can disagree. They think America is a load of BS, then okay, that's fine. The media should give us the news, and it's up to us to decide whether we agree or disagree and what is missing, where is the evidence. Many people don't really like Tucker Carlson, I think his name is, but he did a great achievement by actually interviewing President Putin, the leader of Russia. Like it or not, it is a great achievement, like Trump did with Fatboy Kim, which I explained on other videos, that he managed to go and talk to one of America's greatest enemies. Joe Biden didn't do that. So they would like, I would say, full access to the internet. So if they want to watch a bit of, hey, how's your father? Then it's up to them. You have parental guidance controls on all computers, and parents can set it up respectively for that. But I'm sure when they see something, they want to hear, well, this is what BBC says, this is what CNN says, this is what the Global Times says in China, and this is what the North Korean newspaper says, and the Russian, which we all have. So therefore, we are better informed. We are not manipulated into one way of thinking. So the internet is there. I think it should be opened. What's the next one? Voting. People can't vote directly for the next leader. This year, in the United States of America, we have the elections. It's actually a very exciting time. What's going to happen with Trump, what's going to happen with Biden, and some of the other candidates which may come along. In China, it doesn't happen directly. It does happen in a way that you can vote for your local leader, and then he would be part of the Congress or the province Congress, which goes upstream. But I would say that people in China would love to actually vote for the next president in their next term, giving them, because it is the People's Republic of China, the People's Republic of China. So their voting system, I just disagree with, and I think it should be like Thailand, England, America, I think Japan, etc. So then the government or the ruling party can actually see who is doing a good job, not what Xi Jinping did and basically say, he's been the ruler since 2013, now it's 2024, he's in his third term. But the constitution says in China only 2 terms, like in the United States. But he overthrew that because he wanted to be leader for life. He's got like this, he wants to be like that awful gentleman, Mad Mao Zedong, who brought China away from the Republic of China into the People's Republic of China. People want a vote. I would say people in China do want more freedom. Now, compared to 40, 50 years ago, yeah, they have a lot more. You can buy a house, but you can only have the house for 70 years. So you're not buying, you're basically leasing. They want a car. You can get a car if you can afford it. They want a job. They want money. They want security. They want to travel. Now, do you have that? Well, yes, but you don't have complete freedom. In a way, if you don't like something, then in the West, you can say, I don't like it, and people can agree or disagree. If you say something like that in China and it's a bit sensitive, like the country of Taiwan, then you may get a knock on the door saying, you can't do that, and you will be put away or you may disappear. And people just in China get on with it and say, well, this is the bit of freedom we can't have. Now, I know a lot of Chinese people would say, well, what about your freedom? Well, if I was in England, I can say it now in Cambodia, I don't like King Charles. I could say that. I do actually like King Charles. I do support the monarchy. I do support the royal family. I like the democracy in America. I don't like Joe Biden, and I can say that. But in China, you can't. That's your freedom taken away. Civil liberty. Now, they say you can do this and you can have some demonstrations, but you can't say anything bad about the government. Why? So when you get polls that come out that China is the happiest country in the world, I sort of like, really? Where does this poll come from? How many people did they interview? How many people in China did they actually say this? Were the people in China, if they did take a vote, regardless if it's the happiest, yeah, did they have to give their ID card? What happens if they said no to it? We just don't know these facts from all these international companies that come out with these polls. Would you say they're happy with the government? Well, if we go back to last year and COVID-19, I would say absolutely not. How they claimed that everyone was free by 2021, then in 2022 it was the lockdown where the rest of the world was okay, and you saw some videos saying down with Xi Jinping, down with the CCP, or if you want the correct expression, and both are fine, by the way, CCP or CPC, you can go and check it out with that. Some people would disagree with me with that, but just go into way back and you will find out the history from it, from China, and also that. I am going off topic with that part. So yeah, I do think that people in China want more. They do have a lot more freedom than you could say 50 years ago, but they want like total freedom. If they want to say something, they can. Now, I know in other countries, like in Thailand, for example, and I've said this before, you can't really say anything bad about the royal family. You can do it behind closed doors, for example, but that's just in Thailand. In China, you can't say anything in public about the government. So, but you can say anything about other governments. What's the next one? Democracy. In the Constitution of China, they do say democracy, but they renamed it and very cleverly said Chinese democracy, or democracy in a Chinese way. But democracy just has one meaning. Go on Google, go to Webster, go to the Oxford Concise Dictionary, English Dictionary, and it will give you the word democracy. Go to a Chinese dictionary and type it in Chinese. It will say the same thing. What they do is manipulate it and say we do have democracy. Yeah and no, but it's not. You could say we live in an international world, but the countries in the world that fight the United Nations would say they have democracy in their own style, but democracy only has one meaning. That's why it has the word of democracy. You don't have to believe me. Go to the Oxford Dictionary, go to Webster, go to whatever, and you will find it there. Next one. The government. Do people truly love the government? Well, we've done this already in this video, that they say 95% of people do love the government in China, and the most happiest people in the world are Chinese. I would say, are they happier than they were 50 years ago? 1,000,000%. But they still have restrictions. And when they do have access to outside information related to what's happening in the world, and wonder why this is not there in China, but it's all negative about America or England or Iceland or whatever. But it would be positive with the countries that do the Belt and Road Initiative, like 130 countries. That's another story that we have covered. I don't support the Belt and Road Initiative. Italy pulled out of the Belt and Road Initiative because it was the only Western European country that was in it. Then they pulled out because it's sort of like China tries to hide it, but it's like it's debt trapped. And you can see it if you actually go to these places. You can actually see it. It happens here in a certain place in the country where I live in, and you wouldn't know you're actually in the country because it's full of the people from China. It's a long story. I'm not getting into it, and I don't really want to put it on YouTube either for now, but we'll do it a little bit later. So the lack of trust from the government is, well, the government's doing that. Now, let's be honest. Let's really be honest, and let's put it on the other way. You are in America. You are in England. Do you trust your government? Do you love your government? Do you want it to change? Do you want Biden to be president for another 4 years? Or would you like Donald Trump to come back? Do you like little Ricky in the United Kingdom as prime minister? People express their points of view openly, but in China you sort of like just keep quiet, and it's done behind closed doors, and therefore nothing really gets done, and the government gets stronger and stronger and stronger through so many different things. So all these polls I sort of really disagree about, and I would even call it like fake media in a way. If there is a poll, I think there should be videos about it and how the poll is conducted in detail, but in a simple detail. Don't make it complicated. How do they get the person? How do they know how does that person know it's going to be, in a way, when the results come in, they don't know the person actually. It's just there through some kind of check, but that check is not going to put that person down. And again, have a knock at the door by the police saying, oh, you did a bad vote, let's come to the police station for a cup of tea, or whatever. Do you get a low social score if you do something negative? We just don't know these things, and that's what sort of like we want. Yeah, we want open information with everything. And a lot of these countries, like Russia, like China, like North Korea, but the secrets should remain a secret. So if you work for the FBI or the CIA or the CID in China, for example, you sign a Secrets Act. Well, you should sign a Secrets Act which restricts you from telling the public, but every country has them and they are of vital importance. We don't need to know some certain things which are happening in our country. It may scare us, it may frighten us, and we do have the agencies like MI5 to deal with any security threat or breach, and so far, well, touch wood, it's relatively okay. Now, you can agree or you can disagree with me. You can say I waffle on and talking about absolute nothing. Do I hate China? No, I don't. I just don't like the government of China. Can I see communism work? Yes, I can. Go to Vietnam. It's a communist country, but they have freedom. I think what China should learn from is Vietnam. The Vietnamese people are happy. They're the tiger of Southeast Asia. They can't vote, but the government does listen to the people. In China, you would say the government doesn't listen to the people, even though it's the People's Republic of China. It's just a name. It's just a facade covering over the Communist Party of China, or the Chinese Communist Party, whichever way you want to call it. Every way is fine. Don't be manipulated by people saying it's the only way, because you will only see this in the last, you could say, 5 or 6 years. But if you go back 20 years ago, people even in China, even the Communist Party in China, would say it's the CCP. Now they just changed it. My theory is if you type in the CPC into Google, you get something about Canada, which we mentioned before. But if you put in the CCP, it goes directly to China. Just a conspiracy theory, and let's leave it there for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. I know it's a bit of a rant, and I will wish you a happy Saturday. If there are any Chinese people or people who celebrate the Lunar New Year, like in Japan, like in South Korea, like in China, like in maybe in Malaysia, or from Chinese family, whatever, then do enjoy the family time if you can. But it's the weekend anyhow, when most people wouldn't work. God bless to all. Thank you so much. Don't forget the thumbs up and subscribe.